Hello, everybody. Welcome to our San Diego Domestic Violence Council monthly meeting. We will be starting shortly. Analicia McKee-Shao, our president, will be starting off our meeting. And we're just leaving a little bit of time because people are logging on furiously to this presentation on compassion fatigue. So if you give us a few minutes, we'll start shortly. Analicia will start off our meeting.
Much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is a very important topic and one that I know whether you've experienced it or not, it touches many of us in the service field. And so we're so grateful to our speakers today who are here to touch on this topic. I'm going to give a quick intro for each of them and then I'll let them take the floor. So today with us, we have Dr. Jennifer Tuteur. She serves as the Chief Medical Officer for the County of San Diego's Health and Human Services Agency Medical Care Services, supporting access to quality, timely, and evidence-based care. Jennifer is passionate about improving the health of underserved communities. She earned her bachelor's from Yale University and her MD at University of Missouri. She worked as a program analyst in the Office of the Surgeon General and completed her residency in family and community medicine in Minnesota. Welcome, Dr. Tuteur. And we also have with us today Dr. Cynthia Robertson, who volunteers in the County of San Diego's Health and Human Services Agency. She received her BS from Harvey Mudd College in Engineering and her MD from the University of Southern California School of Medicine. She completed fellowship training in gastroenterology at the University of California, Irvine, and in integrative medicine at the University of Arizona. And there is so much more I could share with all of you about these two wonderful speakers. Their bios go on and on, but I know we have a jam-packed agenda, so I will let them take it from here. Just a couple more slides, I'm sorry, before I pass the torch. We have several different backgrounds present with us today. We have our audience that consists of criminal justice, social services, and you can see all of these different service providers who are with us today. So thank you for joining us. And just a couple of housekeeping items. If you have a question, please go ahead and type it in the Q&A section, and we'll do our best to get to them at the very end of the presentation. And if you are a registered attendee, then we will send you the PowerPoint at the end of the meeting along with some resources. So go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Jen Tuteur, and we're going to go ahead and get started. As Analicia said, we're Jen and Cynthia, and Emily Nguyen is behind the scenes, but has really helped create these presentations for us. And she'll be working all the breakout sessions and the polls and everything like that. So any questions, put it in the chat and we'll see it. And so we're going to team type this, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Cynthia right now. We're going to really try to do much more than having you listen to us, but giving you a toolbox so that not only do you understand that you're not alone and what you're feeling is definitely you're not the only one. You belong to this group of compassionate caregivers, and we're going to give you some toolboxes, and we're even going to practice some of them today, some of those tools to really help all of us do the very best we can in our careers, which are our passions, serving others, but being able to do so without losing ourselves. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Cynthia.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tutor. We'll go ahead and take the next slide. And it's a busy day. I don't know about your day, but my day has started off as busy, and sometimes I need a little grounding to get started. So I thought we would just take a few minutes and watch this short video from the Veterans Affairs that talks about grounding. It's an example of meditation. So we'll go ahead and start that. Emily, if you would. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Christiane Wolf, and this is a 5-minute guided grounding meditation. So starting by finding a comfortable posture. You sit.
All right, just want to confirm if the sound is sharing.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Thank you, Emily.
Sitting in a chair, just putting both feet on the floor. And sitting with your back up straight, if that works for you. And then if it's comfortable, just gently closing your eyes. Or if you want to leave them open, just lowering your gaze. And now starting by bringing your awareness into your feet, into the areas of contact that your feet are having with the floor in this moment. And if you really can't feel your feet at all, you can just gently wiggle your toes a little bit. But otherwise, just feeling into where there is contact with the floor and where there isn't. And feeling the stability of the floor beneath your feet. And then moving the attention to your thighs and buttocks, and doing the same thing here. Just feeling into the areas of contact that your thighs and buttocks are having with the chair in this moment. Just noticing where there is contact and where there is none. And seeing if you can allow the floor and the chair to hold and support your body in this moment. So there's nothing you need to do right now. And then moving the attention to your back. And again, feeling into any areas of contact that your back has with the back of the chair. If there is any contact. And then moving the attention to your hands. Just feeling the position of your hands. Maybe what your hands are touching in this moment. Maybe parts of your legs or the other hand. And you can even ask yourself, how do you know you have hands without looking? You just know it, right? You feel it from within. And now moving the attention to your breath. And if you like, you can make the next 2-3 breaths a little bit deeper. So you can really feel the sensations of breathing. All the way in and all the way out. And noticing where you feel the breath, either the strongest or where it's the most pleasant. And now letting the breath breathe itself. And whenever your attention wanders, just gently bringing it back to that area. Your anchor.
Thank you, Emily. And I'll pass it back over to Dr. Tutor and we'll pick up from here.
Thank you. And my screen just decided to be very interesting right now. So we are going to talk about burnout and compassion fatigue. And my voice is so much more calm. It's slower than when I started already today. And very, very exciting. So I appreciate that. I still don't have my screen fixed. There we go. If anyone else has ever had an experience where your mouse stops letting you know, it's almost like the invisible mouse on the screen. It's quite interesting. But we're going to talk about burnout versus compassion fatigue. And Cynthia and I first got started doing this in early 2020, where we were working on COVID, and we noticed that we were feeling like we were not sleeping or seeing our families or concerned about so many people dying. And we were really caring for folks, and we were starting to no longer care for ourselves. And speaking for myself, it was a good day if I got outside. And it was a good day if I took a shower. I was, sleeping under my computer in the kitchen because we were working on a bunch of population health and public health measures for COVID that we could do remotely, and therefore we never stopped. And so we really learned about this, which then going back, it's like, oh, I think this happened during training, and oh, I think this happened during other times in my professional career, but I never really knew about it before then. And I think we're all entering, I don't know that any of us have really fully recovered, but I think we're all entering difficult challenges right now as we have changes in state and national health policies, and we have changes in the budget, and we have our community that is going through more stressors, and therefore it makes everyone more vulnerable. And so as our support and our resources decrease, our challenges are increasing in our work. And then also, personally, with folks losing jobs, our own families aren't immune to that, or graduating college and having trouble finding jobs or things like that. So this is a great time to bring back some of these conversations, and also so grateful to you all for all the work that you do in so many different arenas in domestic violence, interpersonal violence, and so forth. So if we can go to the next slide. Burnout is one of those things that has a slow onset. So we get more and more and more tired of doing what we're doing, either at work or our hours, that occupational exhaustion. And so slowly we have those feelings of, what I'm doing in my work just doesn't matter. It just doesn't make a difference. No one cares what I'm doing. No one cares about my program. There's no more budget for it, or, the ideas have changed, and, what I do doesn't count. So if we can go to the next slide, the way it affects our work is that we're a little less motivated. We get less satisfaction from doing our work. We don't do it quite as well. And we don't really assume, at least the way I experience that kind of negative attitudes towards oneself or others, is I'm not as good about assuming positive intent all the time. And so, we can be really exhausted, take naps on weekends, sleep in. Oh, I'm not going to get up to do my morning workout because I'm just too tired, but still really feeling exhausted, having problems focusing, and feeling irritable, needing more control in other areas of our lives of, something needs to be cleaned exactly this way, or you must use a coaster on the table, or overwhelmed, or whatever it may be. I, of course, know nothing about this. Those examples that, have never felt that way ever before. But it affects us at work and at home, right? And sometimes it just really takes our colleagues, our friends, our family to help us recognize it when we really are in that slow onset of that gradual feeling more and more burnt out. So if we go to the next slide, risk factors for burnout are feeling like you have no control over work, that, it's just too much for someone to do, that I never leave, or I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing at work. Nothing's right. Nothing's good enough. And that lack of support. And therefore, I'm looking at this picture of falling asleep on the computer. I have fallen asleep under my desk during COVID. And there's a photo of me being asleep on the dog bed. So there's all kinds of ways that we experience this. But if you're feeling any of this, really important that you realize that you're not alone. So if we go to the next slide, you can see that 2/3 of American employees were experiencing some form of burnout. And this is self-report last year. In Australia, and I think Dr. Cynthia, you or Emily found this statistic, but in 2017, almost 1/3 of family violence practitioners were considering leaving the field due to burnout. So if you're feeling that way, you are not alone. And in mental health professionals, those rates of burnout are up to 74%. So if we go, actually, before we go to the next slide, I'm so sorry. So with burnout, really important. I went on a hike this weekend. It was a 3-day weekend. I went on a hike with a friend, and I was talking about, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. And, my son didn't do this exactly the way I wanted, and this and that. And she said, you know what? You just need to stop trying to control everything. I know stuff is really hard at work and there's lots of changes going on at home, then add on tenting for termites, which I've never done while I'm living in a house. And so it's quite interesting. And just for her saying, oh, let some of that go, really made a big impact. I knew I needed, to hike. I knew I needed to take care of myself and do something. Dr. Cynthia will talk about the breathing. I've started a lot of the 4-7-8 breathing, which especially works when I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about things. And half the time I fall asleep in the middle of the 4-7-8 breathing, which is pretty funny. And I'm we created toolboxes because I was one in the very beginning that was like, okay, don't tell me to get more sleep, to eat healthier, and to exercise. I know all that kind of stuff. It's hard to do when you're in all this. So give me really short things that maybe I can do together, that maybe I can remind friends of and help them remind me. But with this frequency of burnout, we want all of us to be able to stay in our fields, to be able to keep doing our amazing work and not burn out and leave the field, as long as we can do so safely, as long as we can do so taking care of ourselves. So that is burnout. But what we're really seeing, especially with COVID, as we're doing so much work and there was so many deaths and so much trauma. And I think is something we're facing now as we're hearing lots of fear of different policy changes and things going on in our community, is the next slide, which is compassion fatigue. And this is something that can happen really quickly. So burnout, it's slow and steady. I've learned for me that every other month I need to take some time off of work. And the studies show that a 3-day weekend doesn't cut it, right? So I'm now trying to schedule that. Whereas like even doing that for the past year, I still have more vacation time than I can possibly use, right? So those are things that slow and steady we can use to turn away burnout, to find a lot of joy and feeling of appreciation of what we're doing. But compassion fatigue, I would think, especially with you all and as a family practice doc in community health centers, I definitely seeing and hearing and talking to people about a lot of familial violence. There's an exposure to this vicarious trauma or secondary traumatic stress, either listening to other stories or observing things or caring for folks that can really happen right away. Like all of a sudden, it's just like, oh my gosh, I need to turn off because I can't listen anymore. I can't absorb this. And it's one of the things that might have drawn you all to this field and make you so amazing at it is your compassion, right? And this is the compassion fatigue, is the stress due to the empathy that you all have for either others that you see for and care for as they're going through trauma or things that you witness. And so if we go to that next slide, please. What puts folks, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm one ahead. The symptoms of compassion fatigue are disengagement. Again, med school, they teach us how to, compartmentalize, right? Because you're going from one room to the next and you're, 20 something, if that, years old, and watching people, pass away, watching people grieve, watching really life-changing situations. And what they taught us is, well, compartmentalize, walk out of the patient room, wipe it clean, go into the next patient room. And so I think, I'm sure in law enforcement, in other areas, that might be similar. But one of the things that people start experiencing with compassion fatigue is doing that much more often. So disengaging before you even leave the room, disengaging while you're listening to a story or listening to someone, blunting your emotions of not letting yourself feel, feeling hopeless to change anything, and losing some of those ideals and passion for what brought you into this field. And then turning some of that inward, that of course leads to some depression, anxiety, some of the control type of things as well, of trying to control what we can because there's so much we can't control. So if you go to the next slide, the risks for compassion fatigue are everything we all do. Everyone on this slide are the people here that are serving the Domestic Violence Council. And I would guess that every single one of you fills at least one of these lines, if not more than one. So what are the stages? If we go to the next slide, just like burnout, trying to prevent it or catch it early and take your vacations and things like that, same thing with the stages of that compassion fatigue. And so the first thing is just losing your ability to notice someone else's pain. And then by listening to others, of losing that ability to have an empathetic response. So how are you going to engage to help someone? It takes energy. And if you have that compassion fatigue, you're not going to be able to continue doing that as much. And so then as you try to be compassionate with folks, or as we do, then we get stressed of, oh my gosh, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to the story. This is really awful. I need to be picking up my kid right now. I really can't do anymore. I need to take some deep breaths myself. It's really stressing me out to continue to listen to whether it's taking care of someone, helping them navigate the system, taking a history and doing a physical and bringing them into the emergency room, whatever your job is. working their case, their legal case. And then finally is that compassion fatigue. And so that is really with that compassion fatigue, not only is it harder to be compassionate with others, but then it's starting to have some of that trauma, whether it's triggers, activators, but that traumatic recollections that come back, that as you're listening to something or someone or in your work, then different things activate you, whether it's a smell. For me, walking into the emergency department during residency, I was smelling in the middle of a Midwestern urban city. It seemed like, especially on the evening shifts, was alcohol. And so then that smell of alcohol with me for a while was associated with, oh, someone's hurt. Or the stress of, oh my gosh, I need to work a night shift at the ED. So having more and more things activate that sign of distress in us. So if you go to the frequency of compassion fatigue, again, it's really high. So 40 to 85% of us develop some vicarious trauma, some compassion fatigue. Again, the rates, this is the same stat, but compassion fatigue, 74% in mental health professionals. This is domestic violence and sexual assault social workers, 65% reporting at least one symptom of that secondary traumatic stress, and 42% of social workers altogether. And I'm sure many of you, like me, I mean, there's some cases of families who, family members experience child abuse or domestic violence, things like that in those stories, that some of that, we'll just never forget. But how can we really work to care for ourselves and be gentle with ourselves and with each other, so that it's something that still allows us to help others, and be able to address it and keep going, and keep our bucket full enough that it's never depleted. So the next slide talks about, in a similar way, how compassion fatigue affects our work. And I thought this study was really interesting. And I'm sure that, during my residency, if you would have asked me these same questions, I absolutely would have fallen into it as well. So pediatric residents in Kansas City who were burned out, and this is burnout here, asked their patients less questions and discharged them from the hospital earlier, even if they weren't ready. So these pediatric residents, if someone was ready to be discharged, wouldn't even ask maybe, oh, are you still feeling feverish? Or how's your pain doing? Or anything that might have led them to have an extra day of hospitalization because they were so burned out by work. I'm sure some compassion fatigue as well, that the need not to have more work and one more person to care for overrode their need and their ability to be able to practice good medicine and to practice their job. That's how severe this is. It's not intentional. It's not, oh my gosh, I'm tired, I'm not going to ask someone a question. But this is what happens. And then for law enforcement, the compassion fatigue has that impact on well-being, judgment, and decision-making, as well as their overall job performance. And that study was done in law enforcement. We'll share the stats with you. I'm sorry, the links with you. And that was 2020. So it was just at the beginning of COVID, but I think that that's true for many different professions. So we are going to do a poll. And this is totally anonymous. The poll should pop up, but for me, the goal is for everyone to recognize we're not alone. And these are ways, like, this is never talked about. You can't, it's, oh, you're feeling tired, this is awesome. People are already filling it out. You're tired, you need a break. Okay, take a 3-day weekend type of thing. But it's not, this is something that we need to take care of. And we need to give you time and we need to give you tools. so that, and we need to help each other, so that we're not feeling isolated, so that we can talk about things, as well. So this is an amazing group. We already have 40 people who have answered. And let's see, we only have 59 people who are participating in the call. So we're up to 45. Let's go another couple seconds. And then Emily, if you don't mind showing the results. We're at 40, 49. Okay, one more to get to 50. Do I hear 50? One more person. Okay, there we go. We got 50. Okay, 84% respondents. So if we can share this, can everyone see the results? I know I can as a moderator. Can you all see the results?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you. So look at this. Yes, maybe people who didn't think they were feeling burnt out or have any compassion fatigue may not have decided to come to an hour and a half of this today. So it might be a little bit biased, but look at this. Like 3/4 of us are feeling like we're not as motivated as we usually are. 50%, 54% are feeling detached or having some depression. Disengaged with, okay, I'm going to go through the motions, but I'm not really engaged with what I'm doing. So this is the past year for all of us, what we're feeling in our work. And I think this is really, really essential. And we'll share this poll as well so that, we value you all and the work you do. And in order to really show how much we value it, we need to take care of you as the people in the front lines, and we need to help give you not only tools, but also time to take care of yourselves. That is really hard to do. I'm not saying that's easy at all. It's really hard to do, but it is very important. And for me, the first part was talking about it and sharing it with others who are like, okay, I'll let you know if I see something in you. You let me know too, because we know there's a little bit of a blind spot. Or be that best friend at work, or be able to talk through things so that everything's not on our shoulders and we're not feeling like we need to buck it up and be strong. Okay. I'm gonna pause for a second. Any questions, anything in the chat? Any comments that anyone wants to make right there?
I don't see anything in the QA or the chat.
Okay, thank you. So we have a breakout room now that we can see that everyone's not alone, and that more than half of us, and sometimes 3/4 of us, are feeling these symptoms of burnout or compassion fatigue. So we are going to go to breakout rooms. And Emily, do you want to give us directions, or we're doing the breathing exercise after breakout rooms, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I'll create the breakout rooms, and then the facilitators will be there after they're created. Are we ready?
Okay. I will just say that everything in the breakout room doesn't get shared unless someone decides that they want to share it. Okay, so we're creating safe spaces, and so there we go. I'm ready.
Am I in the right room?
Sammy, let me assign you. It should say that you're in room
7 is what it said.
7. Yeah.
Somehow I got out of it.
Oh, okay. Let me move you there.
Okay. And I was working for in the Miss Collins, and I'll be going back in June. Okay.
We finished right in the nick of time.
Thank you. We had a really meaningful and very insightful conversation in my group, so I really appreciate that. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Cynthia now.
I'm muted. I have a habit of doing that, talking while I'm on mute. Sorry about that. Thank you so much. And thanks for everyone who participated. And we'll go ahead and take the next slide. And I thought what we would do now as we get ready to move on to the next step is to just take a few moments and to do another self-care exercise. This is the 4-7-8 breathing exercise that Dr. Tutor referenced a moment ago. This is Andrew Weil, who is my mentor at the University of Arizona, the fellowship that I did. And I'll let him take it from here and walk us all through this. Thank you, Emily.
The 4-7-8 breath that I teach is the most powerful relaxation method that I've discovered. It's very simple, requires no equipment, takes very little time, costs nothing. And it is a practice. It's something that you have to do regularly. So in this technique, you breathe in through your nose quietly to a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 7, and then blow air out through your mouth audibly and forcefully. And you do this for a total of 4 breath cycles. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. And that's all. It's a bit hard for me to come back and talk to you after I do that because this produces a very pleasant altered state of consciousness that I'd rather stay in. You may not get that the first time you try it, but it's a reward of practicing this. And this is a practice. You must do this at least twice a day. So that 4 breath cycles at least twice a day. After a month, if you're comfortable with it, you can increase to 8 breath cycles each time you do it. But that's the absolute maximum. You can do it more frequently than twice a day, but never more than 4 or 8 breath cycles at one time. It may take 4 to 6 weeks before you notice physiological changes from this, but over time, practicing this will lower heart rate, lower blood pressure, improve digestion, improve circulation. It promotes sleep if you get up in the middle of the night for any reason. It is the most effective anti-anxiety technique that I've found. I've taught it to patients with the most extreme forms of panic disorder who eventually brought that under control just relying on this breathing technique. So please practice it, do it regularly, and I think you'll be very pleased with the results.
Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and take the next slide. So the greatest challenge for me in the beginning was remembering the numbers, right? 4-7-8, and so I know people that make a Post-it and they put a Post-it around someplace where they can see it. I think as you do it over time, you get so that it becomes automatic. But the basic idea is a big deep breath in. You hold it for an extended period of time and then breathe out a little bit more than that. And you repeat it for 4 different cycles. I found it to be very helpful. Years ago, if I was starting to get a tension headache, I could actually stop the headache before it progressed. As Dr. Tutor referenced, I too also use it off in the middle of the night when I wake up and my mind is racing. So it's a great tool. So let's bring ourselves back. I thought it would be a nice way to sort of transition from the breakout room and learning about burnout and compassion fatigue. As we now think about what can we do to heal burnout and how can we prevent compassion fatigue. So we'll go ahead and take the next slide, Emily, if we may. And the key here is self-care. It really boils down to taking care of ourselves. Next slide. And how do we do that? Well, being physically active is certainly a very important tool that we can use. It stimulates the release of endorphins. It reduces our levels of adrenaline and cortisol. So it's important to do some form of exercise. I always encourage people to get outside, go for a walk. Having a dog is one of those wonderful things that causes you to have to go outside, and I always relish that, even though it's sometimes in a busy day it seemed like a burden to have to rush the dog out and back. But you know what? It's that break. We see things that are different. We hear sounds, we smell things. Getting outside is very important when we can do that. The next thing is striving to get enough sleep, and it's something we all want to do. Sometimes we lay in bed and our brain is just racing away. But it's important to create rituals at bedtime and consistency. So as much as you can, if you can go to bed about the same time every day and wake up at about the same time, and even on weekends, as much as you can create routine, your body recognizes that. And those circadian rhythms and that release of melatonin will happen consistently, particularly if we get out, get some sunlight during the day, and then go to bed in a dark room. And if there are noises, some white noise, running a fan in the room can often help with that as well. In addition, doing our best. And again, all of this is not beating ourselves up if we're not perfect at any of these things, but doing our best to eat healthy food and drink and get plenty of fluids to make sure that we're staying hydrated throughout the day. Next slide. In addition, humor. Humor is a really wonderful, valuable tool that we can use to help take care of ourselves. When we laugh and joke with others, it decreases our stress hormones. It increases dopamine and oxytocin and endorphins. So, even just watching something that's funny can help put your mind at ease. One of the wonderful things about the team that I joined working with Dr. Tutor and Emily is that at the end of our huddles every week, we end with someone has joke of the day. And it's a wonderful thing. They're dad jokes. They're usually 2 or 3 short, really kind of groaner jokes. But you know what? They make you laugh and they help to take some of the edge off. And I encourage you to look for humor in times when you can introduce that into your life. Another tool for self-care is gratitude. And gratitude is very, very important as a tool that we can use, not just to be grateful, but, to take a moment and think about the things that we are grateful for. You can journal these. I know in my own family, I've seen other tools. My nephew with his 2 daughters, every night at dinner, they make them each go around the table, and everyone has to say something that they're grateful for that day. It can be something simple. Others use it as a tool at night before they go to sleep. Think of 1 or 2 things that you are grateful for. Just another wonderful tool to help us. And then finally, addressing your spiritual health. And it's not my spiritual health or the right spiritual health or the wrong spiritual health. It's whatever is correct and right for you. In holistic medicine, we talk about the mind, the body, and the spirit. And it's important to address our health in all of these respects. So whatever is right for you, to make sure that you're making that a part of your routine on a regular basis. Next slide. Supportive relationships. Dr. Tutor talked about a moment ago about going for a hike with a friend and how friends recenter us. They help us put things in perspective sometimes. I know my friends help me with that as well. So our social connection can be our family and friends. It could be peers, people that we connect with who have similar interests. We might join a club or sign up for a class, volunteer. I've loved volunteering and have spent the last number of years volunteering both with the county and other organizations, and it's a wonderful thing and a great way to meet other people with similar interests. So, wonderful tool that you can use. Next slide. All right, so let's talk a little bit about mindfulness. And you probably realize I snuck some mindfulness in already. We have snuck some mindfulness into this meeting already. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the non-judgmental moment-to-moment awareness that involves your attention, intention, and a kind attitude. It should always be accepting and non-judgmental, but it's important because it supports trauma healing and helps to regulate stress and emotions and behavior. And it's in addition to the benefits it gives us in that respect, it also has been shown to improve our cardiovascular and immune health. So, having said that, what kinds of things can we do that are mindfulness activities? Next slide. Well, we just did a breathing exercise. Breathing exercises are a wonderful mindfulness routine. It can be meditation. We started today with a 5-minute grounding meditation. There are a number of different meditations that you can do. 2 to 5 minutes are great. You don't have to spend an hour sitting out on the coast looking out at the ocean, in a yoga position. Meditation can take many different forms. And in fact, yoga is actually a form of meditation. Tai Chi is another wonderful type of movement meditation. And you can just go for a mindful walk and be meditative in your walk as well. Guided imagery is another tool that you can use. And we already talked a little bit about gratitude journaling. Next slide. So these are all things we can do that I've mentioned previously are things that are specifically addressing our health and our well-being. What else can we do? Well, it's important to maintain a work-life balance. Easier said than done, I know. But when we go home, it's so important that we unplug ourselves, right? We disconnect ourselves from work. And literally, sometimes, if your job allows you to, it means turning off your phone or I put my phone in part of the house, or I'll have it available the next time I go to work, but I don't necessarily have to look at it or check my emails or do any of that. And when you go on vacation and you get away, do your best, if you can, to not look at those emails. Don't check your work phone. Don't check your work emails. Spend some time out in nature. Get out, get away from work, create separation. One of the people in our group I can share with you, because it's a general principle that I love, is leaving work and going to do some other activity that allows you to really separate work from the rest of our lives. And it might be physical activities. It might be other things. It might be just getting yourself deep into a great book. Next slide. All right, at this time, what we're going to do is we're going to transition back into another breakout room. And what we want to do is talk about this question here, and I'll let Emily take us back into those breakout rooms, if you would please, Emily. All righty. Do we have most everyone back, Emily, or we still have people out in some of the rooms?
They should be all closed now.
All righty, great. Well, very good. Well, thank you all for participating. Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that very much. So we've been talking a little bit about self-care, and I'll go ahead and take the next slide. And self-care is an important point, not only in terms of addressing burnout, but actually as a tool for healing compassion fatigue. And I'll take the next slide. But what should we do when we're concerned about, are we experiencing compassion fatigue? We started off with doing a poll looking to see if we were experiencing any of those symptoms. So first and foremost, knowing and being aware of what the warning signs is very important. And making a plan for what to do if you find yourself experiencing signs or symptoms of compassion fatigue. We'll go over to that a little bit more in a minute. And one of the very important things in addressing our own symptomatology is to treating ourselves with some self-love. And I'll take the next slide and we'll talk about that for a moment. Self-love refers to, we've often heard it in terms of self-respect or self-value, self-esteem, self-worth. But really the most important element in this is really being compassionate for ourselves. And that is the intentional choice to show up for yourself, to support your needs and wants, and honor your limitations. There's a wonderful book that was written by Charles Mackesy in 2022, and I love the book. And I bring it up as often as I can, and I recommend it highly if you haven't seen it, or excuse me, read it or seen it. Actually, they made a short animated video on it that ended up on Apple TV, but I also know you can watch clips of it on YouTube. And the book is called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. And one of the pages that I'm sharing here with you is from that book. And it says, "When you think of everyone you love," said the fox, "I hope you include yourself." As caregivers, as people that look out for others, so often we have a natural tendency, I believe, to put others first. And we cannot lose ourselves in the midst of that. And this is such an important element in compassion fatigue, is regaining our own compassion for ourselves, right? It starts with that allows us to heal. Next slide. And so what else can we do if we're experiencing compassion fatigue? It's easy to say we're gonna treat ourselves with compassion and love ourselves, but we may have to think about actually making some hard resets of our work-life balance. There may be changes that we need to think about making that are concrete, and prioritizing self-care. It's such an important thing to do, and sometimes it all boils down to that saying of putting the oxygen mask on yourself first, right? In order to help others. It's what they tell you on the airplane is you got to first put your own oxygen mask on. So we have to set it as a priority in our lives. We talked a little bit about connection with others and the importance of a support system, our friends and loved ones. But also, if in your work you're finding that you are really significantly impacted by compassionate fatigue or even burnout, reach out to your peers and your coworkers for support. I think you may be surprised to hear that they may be experiencing very much the same thing, and can be a great source of encouragement and support for you as well. But if things are not getting better and you're trying your best, or you're just trying, why should I put a criteria on that? You're trying, you're doing what you can do, but things are not getting better. Don't hesitate to reach out and seek some professional help. Next slide. We have prepared a little toolbox that I put in the chat as well. That's a PDF, and these are 5 different short YouTube videos. They include the 478 breathing exercise we did a few moments ago. They include a guided imagery on recentering, the 5-4-3-2-1 method, which is an exercise where you can do it. It only takes a few minutes to do. You can do it anywhere, anytime. A little bit of desk yoga and some gentle Tai Chi, all wonderful tools that you can use. We'll take the next slide. But in addition to that, here are some concrete resources for more support. As you're all probably aware, you can call 211 at any time and get help. There are parent and youth helplines, as well as CalHope warm lines for those in law enforcement. There is a cop line. There is a public safety employee line. And then there's the San Diego Access and Crisis line that's been around for years and years. The good news is today you can actually just dial 988 and you'll be connected immediately with the San Diego Access and Crisis line. I learned the phone number for the San Diego Access and Crisis line years ago when I was working in suicide prevention. And the easy way to remember that number I learned was 888, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 0 suicides. So, and the take-home message there is reach out for support and don't hesitate to do so. one of the mentors I had in suicide prevention talked with our group about how when he would give a talk and address suicide prevention with a group, he often came back quite physically and emotionally drained. And sometimes he would just call the access and crisis line and have somebody to talk to for a few minutes and sort of debrief and allow him to decompress, if you will, and prepare as he made that transition back to his home life. So I want to encourage you that these are resources you can use at any time, and you don't have to be in an extreme situation to take advantage of them. In fact, I would encourage you to do so sooner than later. So don't hesitate to reach out to these. And with that, I'll take the next slide. And we're certainly want to open things up to any questions or thoughts. If I have a bad habit of talking quickly, so if I've said anything too fast, please don't hesitate to stop us here. And we'd like to open things up for questions for the group. And actually, before we do, I have one thing that I would like to say that I said to our breakout room a moment ago, is that I want to sincerely thank each of you for what you do for the people in our community. The work that you do is so terribly important. It's not easy. And I appreciate it. And I think sometimes we don't hear that enough in our work, but I want you to know that you are appreciated for what you do, and you make such a valuable difference in our community. I know it's not easy work, but I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and thank you for what you do. But having said that, we'll open it up for questions and any thoughts or comments, or you can tell me I'm full of baloney. When I started doing integrative medicine, I had a patient whose husband thought that I was going to teach his wife how we were going to do drum sessions, and he thought that's his perception of what we were going to do. And if drum sessions work, I would do them with anybody. But you know what? It's all about whatever's right for the individual, and it doesn't have to be drum sessions. It's what works for you. So anyway, I'm babbling away here, but I'm hoping someone might have a question or a comment. I appreciate the hearts, but the hearts, I would give you all lots of hearts myself, and Dr. Tutor, I don't know if you had to leave. I don't.
I'm right here.
She's usually the one who handles this better than I do.
No, I teared up, Dr. Cynthia, because I just feel so lucky to work with you and work with Emily. And it's so important that we acknowledge, that gratitude fills our bucket as well. So really, just really knowing that you are important, that what you do is important, but you are more important than what you do. So, I got a sideline chat on the call from one of the nurses I work with in the community. I don't even know how long ago. I think I probably wasn't even a parent, and now she's a grandparent. So, and it's great to see everyone. It's great to see what you're doing. And I feel 17 gazillion times better now than at 1:00 when we started this. We were all trying to get on the right Zoom, and it was like, I'm in the middle of another meeting, I'm getting pinged by something else, and I'm just like, no, I'm just going to be here. And so I think there's some great questions in the chat, but some of it really, at least for me, goes to show how great I feel when I can just touch base with colleagues. So there's a question in the chat, which I'm having a hard time getting back to, but I think it says, when you recognize these symptoms with someone else that you work with or coworkers, is there anything we can do? And what if the person doesn't see it in themselves? That is a great question. Do you want to start with that, Dr. Cynthia? And then if there's anything to add?
Well, I think, so often with our peers and with our friends, the first step is to just check in with them. How are you doing? What's going on? How are you doing? And we can start with something in very general way and listen. Listening is such an important tool. And I think when you say if the person doesn't see it in themselves, sometimes we don't want to challenge people with that or make a diagnosis for them, but rather to talk with them about what's going on in your life. How are you doing? And being willing to listen And I used to call these doorknob moments because when I was in practice, so often you would work with someone and then you would get ready to leave the room and you would put your hand on the doorknob and they would tell you the single most important thing in that moment. You know, two choices. You could let go of the doorknob and sit down and listen and give them your full attention, or you could say, well, make another appointment and I'll see you in, a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and walk out the door. So to me, these are doorknob moments. I know that seems silly, but it's a moment where we have to just say, okay, let me sit down and give them my time and be willing to listen and then to offer resources and say, hey, it might be what's worked for us, or it might be, oh, the access and crisis line might be a great service to you. Or, hey, have you tried any of these self-care tools? Or, I'm working on them. What do you think? Are there any of those that sound good to you? But I think it's important to be supportive. And I think everybody's own journey, takes them in different directions. And where we feel we are is where we are, right? We can't force someone into a diagnosis because we see it that way. But we have to, I think, first and foremost, being a friend and being someone that listens. Dr. Tutor, I see you nodding, and I will open it up to you for other comments or thoughts about that.
Cynthia. I mean, I'm laughing because I can't tell you how many times people told me, just leave your work at phone. And sorry, leave your phone at work. Don't take it on vacation or this or that. And like, I've finally suddenly gotten smart after, I don't know, 30 something years of work that it's like, oh yeah, it's okay. Like, I'm not the only one holding up the world. Like, leave it at home. It's just been great. So I do think that asking the question, hey, how are you doing? Anything I can do to help? And would you like to go to lunch? Would you like to grab a coffee? Would you like a coffee? I'm going out to get a coffee. I mean, you never know in someone's world what that might mean right then and there. And so doing that and then being there, not that you need to be their therapist or take care of them, but you will share the toolbox. And it could be, hey, I saw this. No one has time for an hour and a half if it's not like built into what you're doing. So maybe, hey, I just got this toolbox and I tried this 2-minute, video and it worked. Cynthia has told me for years probably 2 years about the 4-7-8. And I was like, I tried it a little bit. And no. Then I started waking up at night and someone reminded me and I was like, oh, wait, can you tell me that again, Cynthia? And I can never remember the numbers. I used to have it posted and she sent me this 2-minute video. And I was like, I don't know if I like the 2-minute video of Dr. Wild better or the dog better because it certainly puts the dog to sleep, but it just it clicked with me. It's probably the same thing, Dr. Cynthia, you showed me 2 years ago, but some of it is just opening up that conversation and letting someone know you care and you see them. And I might have interrupted someone else. Was that Camille's voice or someone else who was chiming in?
That's me, Camille. So exactly, Jen. People are not necessarily ready when you are. And sometimes you say something and they don't acknowledge it at all. And then later they may hear it or they may not. And so, people are ready on their own time frame, they're on their journey. They'll get there when they get there. I find just to be open and available and hopefully they'll hear it. And if not, you're there anyway. You're not there to judge, you're there to just be there.
Very well said, Camille. Thank you. Tammy, you've raised your hand. Sorry, we got you on mute there.
There we go. I just want to say hi to Dr. Tutor. I have not talked to her in 26 years. I work for her and with her. So it's awesome to see her. So it's sentimental. But I think a lot of times we get burned out, but we feel guilty about it. And that kind of goes hand in hand. We can't feel guilty because we're human and we give everything out of our cup, and we can't give what we don't have. So we've got all these things are just wonderful. All the different, I think this is a wonderful class wonderful meeting. Sorry, I'm a little sentimental right now.
That's
Aw,
okay.
that's great. I was like, wait, Tammy Cole, I know that name.
Dr. Tutor,
See,
I miss you.
I
Aw.
know. I tell so many stories about you. Whenever I talk about everyone has their own strengths, because Tammy would walk into a room and say, let me tell you about this person. I saw their mom in the grocery store, and here's what's going on with the family. And so many, I mean, like, that's the whole thing. Like, Tammy, you may not remember that, but like, that is one of like my fundamentals that I learned about community medicine is from you. So
So
I
sweet.
think but it's so true. And I think to Camille's point, and to everyone else's, we have to we have to forgive ourselves for
Yeah.
being human.
Yeah.
And we have to take that deep breath and we have to I once read about treating ourselves like we would treat our best friend, or even like our fifth best friend, right? And like, oh, would you tell your friend what you're just telling yourself? Like, oh, you don't have time to do X, Y, and Z. And it's, I think recognizing it is important and being there for others is important, but also giving ourselves space. And, it used to be, oh, well, I need a mental health day or I need this. And I think of all the vacations that I didn't take because I felt like I needed to be back at work or I needed to take care of this person. And I think now, like, okay, I was some snappy 20-something-year-old doctor who thought that like everyone's health and well-being depended on her. Like we live in a community. I mean, look at all of you, right? I mean, no one person could be bringing down rates of domestic violence in our county. I mean, look at what's happened in North County with the One Safe Place and all that stuff. That is teamwork and it's multidisciplinary. And again, each of you are way more important than your job. And it's going to take a lot of times to hear it. It takes me lots of times to hear it and many years. But that's okay. That's okay. And Cynthia and I and Emily are here for anything you need because this fills us up. I think we're very honored to talk and learn with you all. And I've never gotten to the Sunday night meal prep for the rest of the week. So like that may be another 5 years for me, but I've never gotten to that point.
Me neither.
And some
I
of you
aspire.
have.
I
Yeah,
aspire.
some of you have.
I love people that can. Good for you.
Totally. Yeah. Well, I just want to personally thank you. I'll turn it back to Annalisa. Thank you so much, Dr. Tutor, Dr. Cynthia, and Emily, and everyone who helped put this together. Annalisa, any closing words? Because I know we're right at 2:30 here.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. Stephanie, I saw you unmuted. I don't know if there was something you wanted to add.
Oh, I just wanted to thank the doctors for presenting. I think it's a good reminder always within our agency, we talk about self-care and what we do, right? And we're always talking about it at clinical supervision or our annual trainings. However, at some point it like is this repetitive? But I think me personally just think that it's a good reminder to keep talking about this topic because it reminds us that if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not providing the best to our clients or the victims that we help. And if we're not fully energized or motivated to do the work that we do because we care so much, we can't give our all to the clients that we serve. So I think it's always a good reminder that we have to help ourselves to be able to help the ones that we serve or our clients and victims. So thank you so much. Just wanted to share that and, a reminder to all of us that we do great work. But again, also taking care of ourselves will reflect the work that we do with others. That's it.
Thank you, Stephanie. I know that there are a lot of other careers that, are considered to be on the front lines, the first responders or doctors. But I do think so much of us doing the victim services work, we are on the front lines. We are sometimes the first people that, our victims have shared their intimate details of their lives with, very shameful details for them. And so it's a different type of first responder. It's a different type of being on the front lines, but our emotional safety is just as important as our physical safety, and self-care is so deeply connected to that. So same as you, Dr. Tutor, have so much vacation, and luckily our agency is currently forcing us to take it. So as much as many of us pushed back against it or weren't too happy, it's been a blessing in disguise. And so I know a lot of my team is here today, and I thank all of you, and those who aren't on my team, I thank you as well, because the work we do is not easy and it is emotionally taxing. So take care of yourselves. If you're new to joining the DV Council meetings, welcome. If this is your 3rd or 15th or 100th, welcome. We are sending out a monthly newsletter. If that doesn't sound familiar to you, please let us know and we can add you to our email distribution. On that newsletter, you'll see all kinds of updates and things that we have coming on down the line in the next couple of months. And then if you're active on social media, please feel free to follow us, because you'll see a lot of updates there as well. So thank you everyone for just taking the time to be here with us today. I think our time is one of our most valuable resources, and we can't get it back. So the fact that you chose to spend it here with us is very important. So thank you.
Thank you. And we will send out slides, or we'll give you slides and recording and toolbox and everything. So thank you so much.
Thanks for all you do. Take care.
Bye.
Awesome. Thank you.